Hello everybody, this is the Retro Bear welcoming you back to the second part of this edition of Desert Island Games and my chat with Pete at the YouTube channel Snestastic. If you didn't catch the first part of this episode, don't forget it will be in the description below. The link will be down there. And also, if you want to be a guest on Desert Island Games in an upcoming episode, why not get in touch with me? My email address also will be in the description below. And very happy to hear from anybody who's interested in taking part in a future episode. If you're new to this, don't forget to have a look and listen to the first episode and get an idea what it's all about. But in the meantime, thanks to everybody who listened to the first part. Without further ado, let's introduce the second part and pick up where we left off as Pete takes us through his gaming career and also some of his favourite and least favourite games, Desert Island Games. Yeah. I mean, again, modding consoles is sort of a completely another sort of area to go into. But if you do go down that route, the benefit of seeing that the difference between that is something else.
It's incredible, especially the N64. When I first got an RGB one, it was an American console. I was just like, this was like the early days when they had that board, is the TH something or other. I mean, it's gotten better now because the bloke in Australia did a better board. But yeah, absolutely stunning. When you see Mario 64 and it's all sharp and it doesn't look like a smeared jam sandwich on your TV, it's fantastic.
Dear. So did you get much sort of games to the Dreamcast when you had one, or was it just sort of a quick foray in?
Yeah, it was just burning games, and I'd say I mostly played the Crazy Taxi games, and Matt Hoffman's was like, because obviously Tony Hawk had been massive on the PlayStation, and I just got obsessed with playing Matt Hoffman's over and over and over again.
Tony Hawk. There we go. That's
I was playing number 2 today. What a game! Oh, yeah, I need to get that for the PS4 actually, because that new version of done looks really good.
not a fan of that series. That's all.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
No, don't like it in the slightest.
God, you're one of the rare ones, ain't you? I mean, I've never met anybody that doesn't like that.
Haven't you? No,
No.
I'm well known for not liking Tony Hawk.
Oh, how can you not like that?
It's very much a running joke now because people put up Tony Hawk games in their videos and mention the fact this is my favourite game series.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it is very much. Somebody actually sent me a Tony Hawk game. Well, I say something. I know he sent me a Tony Hawk game, and they sent it with like Tony Hawk packaging as well.
Brilliant.
Really, Eddie Rollercore. If you know
That's
Eddie.
great. Eddie's a top lad.
As soon as I saw it, I know exactly who it's come from. Even though I don't know where he got my address on him, because I got it from one of the little lads. But I thought, yeah, that's brilliant. So yeah, it's a running joke with me. Me and Tony Hawk's games.
You'll get converted eventually.
I don't know. Well, I'm not going to get into it now, but no, I can't see that happening. I may do a gameplay on one of them just for the sake of doing it. I don't know.
It's like maybe Final Fantasy thing, because that'll never happen.
Well, I'm the same on that one as well. So down to the point in that. I mean, I'm obviously speaking of a sort of Final Fantasy. We're sort of moving back towards that with your next system as well. Because there's an awful lot of JRPGs on.
Oh yeah.
Probably. The difference between that and its main rival at the time, which didn't have any.
Which was the better console.
I mean, this is it. This is a debate for all time. In fact, you could probably tie all three of these in at the next three at the same time, because it was that era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we're talking about...
Yeah, so it's like PlayStation 2, Xbox and GameCube era. So
now, this was a time where I actually owned 2 out of 3 of these at the time, which was... bought a GameCube, then I ended up trading it in for an Xbox.
Oh, okay, so you went backwards. Right.
Well,
forwards in one way, backwards in another way. So.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it. And I didn't get a PlayStation 2 until years afterwards. What about yourself?
Well, I got a PlayStation 2 in 2000. It was like the second week after launch. I can't remember where it was. There's a place in Birmingham where there's this massive industrial estate and they had an HMV on it, but I can't remember where the hell it was. And we couldn't get a PlayStation 2 anywhere. It was the only place I could get a pre-order in. So me and my mate Steve went over there, got pre-orders in, and as I say, we got a call about a week after it came out because, as you know, back then the PlayStation 2 was so hard to come by, and we got our pre-orders, and I had it for a year. Absolutely loved the PlayStation 2. I thought it was incredible, and especially when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and the first time it started raining, and it was like going from the PS1 where it was all top down and 2D basically, and then going to this 3D environment, and it was just like, how the hell are they doing this? And I was playing like Tekken Tag Tournament, playing Silent Scope, Dead or Alive 2, Time Splitters. I thought the console was fantastic. But then in 2001, the Xbox was coming out, and we had, because you're in the same area as me, you remember cable TV, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Cable Midlands, I think it was at the
yeah,
time.
I can't never remember who ran it. 'Cause I know Virgin own it now, but I can't remember who used to run it.
Telewest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think they were taken over by NTL.
Oh, were they? Okay.
I think when it first came, we first got cable in the end of '93, where I live, and it was Cable Midlands, and then it became Telewest Communications after that.
Oh, okay.
I think they ceased to. I think it was taken over by NTL, maybe Virgin. I don't know.
Because they used to have I can't think what they had the box for music, but they had another music channel, like a jukeboxy channel. I can't think what it was called now. And that was in like the early days when Kylie Minogue. I can't remember the song now. Oh God. But yeah, but yeah, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because there used to be a channel on the cable, and they'd throw the odd bit of game news in now and again. And I remember seeing they were showing clips of Halo, and it was like literally like about 15, 20 seconds or something. It was hardly anything at all. And they kept talking about this game called Halo and how it was going to be an amazing first-person shooter and all this. And it kept capturing my imagination, and I thought I would love to give that a try. But if they ain't putting Grand Theft Auto 3 on Xbox, I'm not touching the machine because it's Microsoft and no one knows if this console is going to be a success.
That's right.
Yeah, and so this was when my dad had his early computers. So it was like a 286, 386, something like that, and he had it in the spare bedroom. So I was always in there on the internet, on chat rooms and looking up stuff and whatnot. And I remember just thinking to myself, if the Xbox gets Grand Theft Auto 3, I'm going to take a punt because I really want to play that Halo game. And I kept checking Amazon, and then eventually Amazon listed pre-order for Grand Theft Auto 3, and I thought, brilliant, I can do it. So I went and sold my PlayStation 2, put a pre-order in for the Xbox, and then they pulled the pre-order for Grand Theft Auto, and I was like, oh shit. So I thought, what have I done? And then they put it back on again a few weeks later or so, and I was like, So maybe it's just one of them Amazon things that do that. They still do that now. So.
Yes, they do. Yes, they're well known for it. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so I got the Xbox on day one in 2001, which I know you're a big fan of the system, aren't you?
I'm a massive fan of it, and like you, it was one of those sort of things where you're not quite sure. I mean, I read about it at the time, and I didn't get it straight away. And you sort of think about it, you think, well, it's Microsoft, is it successful or not? Because there was a gap in the market at the time. You know, do we trust it or not? It is Microsoft. But there's a potential there was endless with it. It's got a hard drive built into it, so you're going to worry about memory cards and things like that.
4 control ports as well.
Yeah, 4 controllers across the front. If I've actually managed to have this running media servers and things.
Yeah, it's phenomenal for modding.
But I've got 2. I've got my original one, which is actually the only console I own now for my original gaming experiences prior to me recollecting.
I wish I still had mine.
And we chipped it at the time as well, so all emulators to that. I did actually pick one up a few years ago for £3 in the pawnbrokers.
Oh, that worked out well, bloody hell.
Yeah, and I thought, I walked out of there thinking, no, and I walked thinking, what am I doing? I'll go back and buy it for £3. He said I went and tested it, so I thought he could be anything wrong with it. And all it is a sticky tray with it, and you can do that by
easy,
sorting that out really. So I've one that I use that one now to play my games, and I use the other one if I want to get any emulators out and have them go on that. But I love it. Everything from I know the controllers are a pain in the arse.
The S controller's alright. It's just a Duke, isn't it? It's the problem.
Yeah, I've only got the Duke ones, but they're but they're fine. But we mentioned earlier about the startup and the whole thing, that green logo, and it's something else. And
the PlayStation 2, and the Xbox, for me, like 3 of the best ever ones they did. And the startups are incredible on those machines.
Yeah, I agree. I for the GameCube one, I think I like the GameCube.
Yeah, the GameCube. It's quite cute, the GameCube, but I like the sound effects on there.
The world apart from sort of like the PlayStation 3, which is just really terrible, but I like
that.
I like the 360. I think the 360 one's quite nice as well.
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah.
It's just a bit when they got to that era, they just sort of like you could see they weren't that bothered because they were simplifying it too much. And like the PlayStation 2, when that boots up, it's got a cool boot up. And then when you put a disc in, you get that womp noise, and I love that. It's so cool.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, I said the Xbox is fantastic, and do like the. I always wanted the PlayStation 2, so I didn't pick it up until many years later.
How have you found the PlayStation 2? Because I've made it clear on my channel that I've always thought it was a shit console, except for that first year. And now I'm turning the corner. Now I'm starting to like it. So.
I mean, it's a massive library. It really, you can get lost in it.
Look at Eddie's collection. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got 650, and I ain't even scratched the surface, you know. But again, it's so easy to get that sort of dragged into it because they're so bloody cheap. He said about the charity shops, they are everywhere.
They are. I went to CEX last week and I picked up like 7 games and it didn't cost me anything.
Yeah. I mean, you know, not all of it is 50p rubbish. I'm granted a fair few of them are 50p rubbish, but it's just stuff I've picked up over the years, and there are some sort of games with some value like Manhunt, and I've got that one, which I think is the more expensive one of the. Manhunt 2, that's it. Manhunt 2, which I think is more expensive one of the two.
Okay.
And Gregory Horror Show, which
I don't know. What's that?
Yeah, it's based on a Japanese cartoon series.
Oh right. Okay.
Which I bought for £1 at a car boot. The XL for about £35 now.
Oh, that's all right. That's good.
Possibly getting a bidding war on online. You could be paying north of £50 for it.
Jesus, I couldn't pay that for a PS2 game.
No, I couldn't either. So I've got a couple of in between the Strawberry Shortcake games.
How do you find that it compares to the Xbox though? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. They're so similar. I mean, I prefer the Xbox. I don't. I think it's just the whole feel of the console and the whole feel of the game boxes as well. Just the colour of it. It's just different.
But were you a fanboy of Xbox at the time? I mean, I was pretty hardcore at the time.
I honestly, Pete, I've never really sort of got into that.
Yeah, it's probably the only time I've ever been that bad with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I've always preferred I've always preferred Sega over Nintendo. I probably would say, though, I like the PlayStation family of consoles. I do prefer playing on the Xbox and the Xbox 360 more. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was always convinced, and I'm learning my lesson now as I'm playing more PlayStation 2 third-party games or cross-platform games, because at the time, me and my mate Jav were obsessed with the Xbox, and we used to be talking about it in work, and I've always said on my videos that the example was Splinter Cell. Seeing that on the Xbox, and when he got an out of PS2, he's like, "There's no way that piece of shit's going to run Splinter Cell properly." And we were totally wrong, of course, but
Yeah, I mean, there are massive amounts of Tom Clancy games for the Xbox, but the Xbox for me sort of redefined that first-person shooter. There's a lot of first-person shooter games on that system.
Redefined everything, didn't it? Really, it was an incredible system.
Yeah, I think when they said when it came out that they'd lost a certain amount of money on it, they'd hit their achievements. I can't remember how. It's quite a sizable amount of money that they said if they'd lost that, they'd have done well to get into that market and make it an impression. Yeah. I don't know if you did you think that it was a success, the Xbox, because very much it's got a really it's got a library about a third the size of the PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
and it obviously didn't sell as well.
I think really, to be honest, if you had one at the time, you know why it's phenomenal. But for most people, they like, as I said, I went from PlayStation to PlayStation 2 because PlayStation was the system that you bought. And I think if people never had the Xbox, they don't really understand why it was so amazing. And obviously undersell compared to the PlayStation 2 because the PlayStation 2 was a monster. But, I had one, my mate had one. In fact, I think, if I remember rightly, I convinced my mate Martin to get one eventually because he was a PlayStation guy all the way. And we used to rent a place together at one point. And I used to have my Xbox in my room and he had his PlayStation 2 in the other room. And he was always in my room. I'd come home from work and he'd be on my Xbox. I remember coming home and he was playing Halo. I was like, what are you doing? But yeah, we used to sit there and play like single player Halo with the split screen together and play through the game. You can't beat that. I mean, PlayStation 2's got things like Quake 3 and all that, and it's got some really good, as I've found now, it's got some really good first-person shooters like Cold Winter, but none of them are like Halo. I mean, the Xbox just absolutely destroys everything with FPS.
So about Cold Winter, I was going to do before Christmas or during December last year, so I'd do a game a day based around games that have got snow or winter themes to them.
Okay.
And I thought, Cold Winter, I've got me on my shelf for ages. I thought I'll stick that on for a bit. An hour and a half later, I was still there. Goes, it's quite good, this, isn't it?
It's really good, isn't it?
And I never got round to doing the series because I was playing that game. I thought, well, that's it. I've got a huge stack of games piled up. I thought, I'm never going to achieve this anyway, so I'll just carry on playing this for a bit. Do you think that the fact that the Xbox didn't get games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, etc., sort of hurt it? Because I know it didn't sell particularly well in Japan.
Well, that was because of the X, apparently, because it's a negative thing. It's seen as like saying no, basically. Yeah, so that's why it never did well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they should call it the box, really.
Yeah. But they shouldn't have called it the Xbox because now they're screwed for names, aren't they?
But it got. It did get Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah, it got 2 Subsistence. Was it Subsistence on that? Because I think that's right, isn't it?
I've got it. I can't see it because
it's got different names on that on the PlayStation. Because PlayStation also bought it. They bought out Metal Gear 2, but then they put a subtitle on it afterwards and all.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, do you think like Resident Evil and Final Fantasy sort of hurt it a great deal? Because
I don't think it needed them, to be honest with you.
No.
Because it was. I mean, obviously the PlayStation had done a good job with games like Quake 2, but when the Xbox dropped with Halo, it was like, this is how you do a first-person shooter. And not only this is how you do a first-person shooter on a console, it's how you do a first-person shooter like we've got now, where you've got story and characters and narrative, and you've got this massive world to walk around. I mean, that game's huge, and you've got vehicle combat. You can drive around in your little warthog. You can shoot things, throw grenades. You've got aliens. They're all talking and screaming. And this is the other thing that makes me laugh is the kids these days don't even realise when we were growing up, most games didn't even have speech. So
yes, you're lucky to get. I think you should be shouting Ghostbusters on the Commodore 64 about as exciting as it got.
Yeah.
I did see a video of a game called The Last V8. I don't know if you've heard of that one before.
I've not heard of that one, no.
Which is, I think it was a Mastertronic budget game, which is famous for only having a fantastic Rob Hubbard, but also an incredibly crappy control system. Absolutely unplayable. But there's sample speech in it, something along the line of the last V8, please return to base. And then this great sort of SID tune kicks in. But it's meant to be an absolutely rotten game.
Well, it's worth it just for the music, like any Commodore 64 game, to be fair.
I mean, Hubbard's version of the Commodore, the Commando theme tune. Oh,
I love that. That's brilliant. That and Rambo as well. That's got an absolutely phenomenal soundtrack.
That's it. If you've ever heard the original Commando music from the arcade and you've heard the version on the Commodore 64, I'm so glad he did his remix of it, because it is a world apart. Honestly, the original arcade game makes you want to sort of poke your stuff in your ears so you can't hear it.
It's absolutely amazing when you think about it. You look at the technology that was in those machines. How the hell they were able to code all of those games and make them as good as they were. Just, so clever.
And that's the thing, though, because at that time it was sort of mind-blowing. Now we're sort of taking in-game music as sort of granted. It should be like what you get in the films, like what you get on the telly and stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's my point. I mean, like with Halo, it really was the beginning of all that happening with the games. And that's the real thing with that generation, is that while some of the games are a little bit clunky because they're still trying to figure out how to do 3D controls and to settle on a set of controls, because like every game you play is bloody different. Unlike now, the majority of them, you'll have simple things like one button will open the door, one will reload your gun, another one jumps, another one ducks, and then you've got the aim and shoot. And even that, with the first-person shooters on Xbox and that, a lot of the ones from that era, they don't even let you do the iron sights down the actual gun. You just the gun sort of sits to the side a little bit, and it's really weird. But yeah, I mean, there's so many great games from that era when you look back, especially on the Xbox at the time. The graphics were just absolutely outstanding. And the one for me was Freedom Fighters. That was the game that really blew my mind at the time.
I don't remember playing that one at all. So
it's well worth picking. It's dirt cheap and all now, so
I'll have to see if I've got it. We sort of ignored the sort of, I say, the elephant or the little cube in the room. We sort of avoid this one completely, because I think it's a crying shame, because this is the only console I actually bought on release date. probably likely to be the only console I would ever buy on release. But I was sort of infused by the fact, well, you know, I wanted something at the time to play games on. And this seemed ideal. That's all you could do with it. Bear in mind, the Xbox, the PlayStation 2, you could play DVDs on it. This was just simply being for playing little tiny discs on for games only. And I remember just sort of having it on release, and I got Star Wars Rogue, which was amazing game. It's still an amazing looking game.
It really is, yeah.
And we had Super Monkey Ball as well, which I'd never heard of before. And we ended up playing Super Monkey Ball more than we ended up playing the Star Wars game because that was just a fantastic little game. But I was just so underwhelmed by the software that came out for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember why I bought one, other than the fact that I know I bought it because it was platinum, and I like the way the platinum looked with the orange light at the front. It looked really cool. Because the purple one looked bloody awful. So.
Well, I had the purple one, and I have absolutely. I don't remember if it was a choice at the time. I can't remember now.
I really can't remember. I must have seen it in the magazine or something. There must have been a reason why I decided to buy one. But
I've got about 3 or 4 now. I think they're either black or purple. I can't remember. I think the most common colours that you can get. I know it's an orange one. The orange one looks great.
The spice orange is beautiful. That was always my holy grail of GameCube. I did eventually get one. That's so nice.
I mean, of course, the N64 did a range of colours as well, didn't it? That was very expensive.
Yeah, that's the only problem now with collecting in it because you get the urge then to buy all versions, and it's like, oh god.
That's it, yeah. But I like the GameCube, but I was just so underwhelmed by the lack of decent software that came out quickly enough for it, which is why it got traded in for the Xbox. And again, I think when I first started recollecting retro games, the very first system after the N64, the Mega Drive, was the GameCube, which I actually managed to find a box version of the Donkey Konga pack with the bongos in the game as well. And it was a bit of a bashed up box, but it all came with that, which was great. And I sort of started delving back into it again. I ended up playing the games that sort of came out after I'd got rid of it, like Sunshine. I eventually picked up a copy of Luigi's Mansion later, and Doshin the Giant, and Resident Evil 4. And before you know it, it's like, yeah, perhaps I sort of prejudged this a little bit and sort of got rid of it too quick.
It really was just sitting in the background at the time, wasn't it? I mean, it was all PlayStation 2 and Xbox. There was, I mean, the only game I remember playing was Mario Sunshine. I played the hell out of that game.
I think it's a very underappreciated console, and probably got left behind at the time for what it was. It couldn't do, apart from Resident Evil 4 on there and its own original titles. It going for it, and the controller. I love the controller. I think it's probably one of the up there with that and the PlayStation family of controllers that they've made. I think it's probably the best.
You see, a lot of people say that, and I don't understand why. I've never liked it.
Have you not? I think the buttons are a touch on the clumsy side.
It's the shoulder buttons, the way it clicks. It don't feel right. It's really weird.
But it feels right. It feels right in the hand.
But you got that. What's that little button? Is it a C button or something? There's a little tiny button.
There is. Hang on, I've got one in front of me.
It's on the right hand side, I think, next to the right hand stick or something.
It's the X button. There's an X button.
Yeah, there's like X, Y. There's a little tiny round one, which is a really stupid button.
But Y and X, you got Y and X, and you got a big A button and a tiny little B button.
That's it. Yeah, I never understood the logic of that. I don't like the grip on the sticks either. I don't think that feels right. It's just, I don't know. Every time I see someone on YouTube talk about the GameCube, everyone goes, "Oh, it was one of the greatest controllers," and "Oh, I love Smash Brothers," and I'm like, I don't understand why.
Well, I agree with 50% of that statement.
Don't like Smash Brothers, then?
No, I don't like Smash Brothers. No, that was probably the game that I sort of bought because everyone was hyping about it. And I thought, I'll go and trade a game in or so and pick it up. And I did, and I sort of sat there thinking, I don't get it.
I've only played it once, and that was in Chesterfield when I was dating this girl. And I stayed over at hers for the first time, and I went up from Birmingham. And she goes, "Oh, we're going to go to my friend's house tonight." I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "I'll own a few drinks." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So we had a bit of a barbecue and a few drinks. And then she got me on Malibu, which I'd never drunk before. And she poured me a half pint of Malibu, so I drank that, and I was absolutely smashed. And I had about 2 or 3 of them. So I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden, she's in the bathroom throwing up, Her friends are looking after her, and all the blokes are all sitting around playing on the GameCube. And I was like, absolutely trashed. I could hardly walk or see what was going on. And I was like, what are you doing? And they were going, oh, playing Smash Bros. And I didn't know what it was. And somehow, even though I was completely obliterated, I beat them all. I'd never played it. I was like, I was so chuffed.
You play one game and retired as a Smash Brothers player after that.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, it's like pretty much controller down, right? Go and find a girlfriend, see if she's okay. You know?
I just didn't get the point of it.
It's a weird game, yeah.
But I don't see the point in why would guys be fighting each other? I just thought it just seemed a bit silly. You know, fighting games, you're creating characters for that purpose. Here, what you're doing is you're taking well-known characters, making them fight each other. I'm like thinking, I don't get it.
And they can do things like the hovering mid-air and come back, or hang off the platform and come back and just get knocked off.
Or you get somebody knocked off and they fall into the background or something. What? Oh no! I that was probably the game which sort of tempted me. This is shit.
Yeah, it's not Street Fighter, is it?
I'm going to go and take it down the road and get it traded in for an Xbox.
You did the right thing.
I think so. I must be honest with you. I don't regret that decision to this day. But I think probably had I sort of stuck it out a little bit more, I might have had a bit more appreciation for the GameCube. I think it's a bad console. I think it's a good console.
You see, I think the Xbox as well, because obviously I used to pirate all my games up until this point. And as you said, like I had mine chipped, and there was a guy in Coventry who used to do mods. So he chipped the console for us, and he did a really nice silver paint job on it and changed the jewel at the top. And he got an Autobot symbol in there and a red light underneath and a red power light. And he also put a 160 gigabyte hard drive in there. So we was able to get games and just burn them direct to the hard drive instead of pirating them. Because my mate Vinny used to get them from rent them from like Blockbuster and whatnot, and bring them around. And he'd go, I'll burn it on your console.
So I mean, you probably would say the Xbox was your console that generation.
Oh, massively! Up until this year, I was obsessed. I hated the PlayStation 2. I've had about 20 PlayStation 2s over the year, and literally, and I've never been able to get into the system. I've always default, and people take the piss out of me on YouTube for this, because it's like if you what games does Pete like? Oh, Smugglers 1 and Time Crisis 2, and that's about my limit. But I am now I'm starting to play, because the games I picked up last week are some of the Bond games, and I played through Agent Under Fire the other day, and I was like, it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be graphically. Unless you put them side by side, then you'll probably see a difference. But to me, it looks the same as the Xbox. Don't look any different.
Well, those James Bond's games are as good as any.
Yeah,
I think all three of them, the original titles, stand up as a fantastic series of games.
Everything or Nothing is the one that really lets me down, because at the time I thought it was great, but you try and play it now, the controls are shite. Yeah.
Have you played From Russia with Love?
I'm literally playing through it again right now.
Yeah, I like that as well. Again, that was. I probably thought I shouldn't have liked this game, but no, I like that as well.
Actually, I've just got to the other bit where you have to go into the room and defuse the bomb, save the hostages, and then you got a bloody helicopter you got to blow up with the rocket launcher.
Yes, another bit. Yeah,
I hate that bit, because you don't get enough rockets, so you have to shoot it to weaken it, then get the rocket launcher, not get killed. And if you hide behind the wall, it's a waste of time. It just blows the wall up, and it's so frustrating. The first time I played that was on the Xbox last year, and that bit I could not work out for ages. It took me forever to find the last bomb, and then when I found the last bomb, way outside, the bloke in the car goes, "No, James, you haven't defused the bombs," which in fact means you haven't found the last hostage. And then the last hostage is a room, and I kept walking past it, back and forth. I was like, I don't understand this. And then eventually I realised there's a bloody vent, and you just put the helicopter through and blow the door up. I was like, oh.
See, it's the things that don't make sense again in games, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, well, it's one of them things that you don't see because you're not looking for it. You're just wandering around, aren't you? So, but yeah, it's a great game. I think that's the best Bond game, to be honest, on that series.
Interesting little fact before we move on. Sean Connery recorded all his vocal work for that again.
Oh, that really is him?
Yeah, and that was one of the last things he did before he retired from acting.
Well, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was just a voice actor. Oh, there you go.
No, because they didn't use the original dialogue from the film. He recorded all the lines for it himself, and it was one of the last things he did before
really cool. You see, Bond games are a whole other conversation because I'm obsessed with Bond games.
Oh well, that we could do that on. We can start from the very beginning with A View to a Kill. And
Well, my first ever one was License to Kill on the 64, which is an incredible game.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
Timothy Dalton game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's top down. You're running around, and you get the helicopter, and I've looked at it recently. The graphics are beautiful. It really holds up well. That one.
Yeah, I think I played that one. First Bond film to get a 15 certificate. That
was it? It's not a
Yeah.
very good film.
No, it's not. No. The Welsh ones, we call them, weren't very good films, were they?
Well, you see, this is the thing, right? I, like all of us, I grew up seeing it at Christmas. It was on TV, the Bond films. Never really got into Bond until Daniel Craig's Casino Royale. And then in recent years, I've gone back, as a big fan of Daniel Craig, I've gone back and watched the Pierce Brosnan films. And then I thought, I'll give the Dalton films a try because Oliver Harper, who does film reviews, said it was good. And I watched both of them, and I was like, Timothy Dalton's decent, but the films ain't much cut.
Yeah, I think that's the general opinion.
Although my opinion on Pierce Brosnan apparently is wrong because everybody disagrees with me on that one. Because apparently everybody hates The World Is Not Enough, and yet I think it's one of the greatest Bond films ever. So
I'm not a massive James Bond fan, but I do love games of the films. I've actually been playing a bit of 007 Legends on the 360 recently.
You know, I can't finish that game; it's broken.
I've only started playing it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought this is great.
Have you got past Odd Job yet?
Yes.
I couldn't do that. That's where I couldn't get.
You couldn't get past Odd Job?
No, I just couldn't do it. I just kept dying.
He got me the first time, but he didn't get me the second time.
I'm gonna have to buy it again because it's the only game I haven't finished.
Oh yeah, I just like the idea of just transporting Daniel Craig into that sort of whole Bond
universe. Yeah,
stuff.
weird, isn't it? Yeah.
But then again, I think we were discussing it on our last podcast, and suddenly read out the game, the sort of the films they did, and Moonraker was in there. And I'm like going, no one even remembers Moonraker being a James Bond film.
It was that Roger Moore.
Roger Moore, yeah, the one that set in a space shuttle ones.
It's Legends has got the Skyfall DLC, hasn't it?
Yeah, there is. I can't remember. It was Goldfinger, Moonraker, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and two others. I think he sort of they transport him into. I was playing Quantum of Solace as well, which is a little bit.
Which one, PS2 or PS3?
I played the Wii version and the 360 version.
What's the Wii one like? Is that third person or is that third and first like the 360?
I've played the first level on both. Gives you an idea how far I get into these. And the first level on the 360 is slightly different to the Wii one, but it's still sort of first person.
Okay, because like the PS2 game is completely different. It's all third person, and it's really good. I just played through that recently.
Oh right, okay, because I've got that somewhere.
Yeah, it's a bit wonky the controls and stuff, but it's a really good game.
I've recorded some footage of Quantum of Solace. I'm going to put up and do a two-part on it. So,
well, the 360 game, the PS3 era, that's one of my favourites. That game is so underrated. Nobody talks about that game. It's brilliant.
I'll have to delete my Quantum of Solace game collection.
Because you know, Soul Funk Retro. I know he doesn't make any vids anymore, but he worked on Quantum of Solace on PS2, and he also worked on the GoldenEye that came out on the Wii.
Oh, that's a good game. Yeah, I do.
More than a good game. It's like one of the best ever.
Yeah. It is. It shouldn't have been because it was. You know, you're taking a gaming classic and again, not played it as much as I would like to have done. But
I love that. I absolutely stand by that game. It's phenomenal. I've completed it loads of times.
I was after that game for ages. I kept waiting for it to drop down in price, and it's never dropped lower than about £3.
Oh. I was going to say like 20 quid, isn't it?
Oh no, it's always. But I mean, at one point it was sort of a lot, £8 quite regularly, or £5.
Right.
At the time, I wasn't collecting for the Wii, and I want using the Wii. So I thought I can't justify spending £5 in the game. It's going to sit on the shelf, and then it sort of dropped about £3, and I thought, right, I'm having that now.
It's so good. Even the PS3 and 360 version reloaded. They did quite a decent job. It doesn't look as nice as the Wii version, but yeah, it's pretty good.
James Bond games. There we go.
Yeah, nice side topic.
We'll have a discussion about that another time. We might sort that one out. Let's leave that there. Let's move on to back onto your Desert Island Games list, which we started talking about 6 hours ago. It seems like. And we were talking. Obviously, we mentioned PS3 and 360. The next two games are from that era. Your first game. I remember playing the first game in this series. absolutely blown away by it. How much I would like to have done. I was a big fan of the first game in this series.
Yeah, so Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, absolute masterpiece, basically. The only thing I can fault it with is the boss fight at the end is absolutely terrible, and it drives me mad every time I play it. But it's, yeah, like yourself. I mean, the first one, I remember seeing, I used to watch E3 all the time, and the one year before the PlayStation, I can't remember when Uncharted came out in 2007, I think, so it was the same year as the PS3 console. And I remember just what.
It wasn't a launch title, was it?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was just after. You see, 'cause that's the thing that confused me, because I remember seeing on the back of the box it was 2007, and I was convinced it came out later than that, but apparently not. But yeah, I remember seeing this. There was after E3 on the 360, they used to put up interviews and things. And I remember somebody being interviewed, and in the background, one of the screens they had, the pods with the console and the TV, and I saw this game with this bloke in third person running around the jungle, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then I eventually found out it was Drake's Fortune. And I remember just playing that on the PS3 and being like yourself, being like, this is ridiculous. You know, it's like, this is the ultimate in cinematic experience, basically. It was, even now, I think the Uncharted games, Naughty Dog, really know how to do it the right way so that they don't bore you to death with the cutscenes. They make the characters interesting, the story's really interesting, so you never want to skip it. And they couple that with incredible gameplay. Admittedly, the first one, the jumping and platform's a bit shit, but it's still a great game. But the second one, they really perfected it. They got a phenomenal story, introduced some new characters, which were really cool. Great villain. The level design is just phenomenal. Different things you get to do in the little battles and the gunfights, and it's just so intense. And yeah, I just absolutely love number 2.
But my other half played the first one. I'm watching, just watching some of the jungle sequences and platform jumping. I know it's just sort of like, wow, it doesn't get any better than this. This is like next generation game, and it's fantastic. Am I right in thinking the second one opens with like a gunfight in a boat or something?
God, now you're asking me that. Number 2 is number 2 opens up where you're hanging off a train. You're in the back of a train. The train is hanging off a cliff, and you fall at the back of it, and you have to climb up the train onto the side of the cliff.
I've got 2 and 3, but I don't think I've sort of.
It's like one of those, like in TV shows where they show you something and they go like 24 hours earlier.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Like that sort of thing. And then it goes back to Nate, and you meet 2 new characters, Chloe and Flynn, and they're meeting together, and Flynn's trying to get them to do a job together.
Would you say you class all 3 games on PlayStation 3 as sort of like a same, or is? I know you said the first one platform was a bit off.
I mean, I think number 2 is the epitome, except for the fact that they got a crap boss fight. One's got bad platforming, and the jumps are just wonky as hell. Number 2's got a terrible boss fight, and that's all I can complain about. Number 3 is, I really like it, and the more I've played it, I've more enjoyed it. But I didn't like the villain. I thought the villain was a bit crap. And the sub-villain as well was just a bit pointless. But I did appreciate that at the end of the game, they started to understand that the boss fight in number 2 was terrible, and they made it a little bit easier to get to grips with. But I think overall, really, as a trilogy, I mean, it's one of the best that we've ever had.
As a body of games, it's I think it's a very high benchmark. Have you played anything else after that? Have you played the PS4 version at all?
Yeah, I've played them before. Well, so I played 1, 2, and 3 about 15 times each, without skipping the cutscenes. And I played number 4, I think about 5 or 6 times at this point. I'm not too sure. Number 4 is the one that challenges number 2, because I always put number 2 at the top, but number 4 really is like the perfect Uncharted game, because there's just nothing I can find wrong with it at all.
I've played the game, not for many years, played anything through as much. Yeah, I've keep sort of looking at seeing a new one that came out on PlayStation 4, thinking, perhaps I should grab hold of that.
It's phenomenal.
But I agree. I think that they are a great series of games, and just being blown away by them first time around and seeing them and thinking how gaming should be. I remember playing a game called Enslaved as well.
Yeah, I got stuck on that near the end, which is quite annoying.
And so the missus played that a lot more. blown away by the quality of the graphics. I just those sort of games just sort of make you happy to be a gamer. You think, yeah, this is what it's all about, really. And
Yeah, I mean, last gen especially, there was just some absolute massive strides in the way they were doing the games and the stories.
and speaking of massive strides, because your next game taking on a mind of its own, really. It's sort of come out of nowhere and destroyed one franchise, and basically is now the sort of bog standard in terms of where this particular genre is.
Yeah, and that's Call of Duty 2 on the 360.
Call of Duty 2. Now, when we're saying Call of Duty 2, we're talking about the old, or are we talking about Modern Warfare 2?
Call of Duty 2, the one that came out in 2005 as a launch title, because there's also Call of Duty 2 Big Red one, which was on the PS2 and Xbox original. But this is the 360 first game that came out.
And so this was set in the World War II setting.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So
you get to do a lot of North African missions.
So why is this on your list then?
Because when the Xbox 360 was coming out, I was, as I said, an Xbox fanboy. So this was 2005, so the internet was a bit better, there was a bit more detail available, a bit more information. And they did a whole thing when the 360 launched in America in the desert, when they set this whole like camp up where you could play the 360. And I was absolutely obsessed. I could not wait to get my 360. And of course, we were going into the HD era as well. So I upgraded my TV ready to go, got a 720p TV. And I remember Call of Duty 2 was not even on my radar because I'd seen shots of it, like photographs on the internet, and I thought, well, it looks really crap. It don't look any better than the original Xbox, so I took no notice of it. It was only when I went into gaming in Solihull with my friends on our lunch break, and there's about 4 of us. We went in there, and they got the pod set up with the 720p little Samsung TVs they had back then, and we went through the demos, played King Kong and all that, and I was like, oh, it's all right. I remember we watched this kid play Call of Duty 2, and it was the end of the beginning, the level's called, where you're on the back of a truck and you're driving through North Africa and you come into this town, there's a plane flying over the top and it crashes and explodes, and you get into the town, there's all these big smoke effects and there's explosions going off and machine guns, and I was just like, this is absolutely insane. And so when I got my console on day one, I took a day off work, picked up my system, got home, put it on, played Call of Duty 2, and I was absolutely obsessed with that game. I mean, the single player, even to this day, I mean, the graphics look a bit dated now, but the game plays so well. It's so much fun. And the levels are really short and easy to get through and all, which is it's not dragged out like a lot of the Call of Duties are now. But then also, it was one of the games, because back then I used to play Xbox Live quite a bit, and I just spent so many hours at night, every night after work, just playing Call of Duty 2 and annihilating Americans. There's a lot of the World War II banter, shall we say.
I mean, I was a massive fan of the Medal of Honor series.
Yeah, me too. I still am. Yeah.
And I love the original games for the PlayStation.
Yeah, I played through them recently as well.
Oh yeah, I keep meaning to dig them out. I keep looking at them. I must put those on. The other one I used to play a fair bit was Allied Assault on the PC.
Right. You see, I've got that. I've only played the console version, Frontline.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember we that more or less first came out, and we sort of pirated a copy of that. And we spent sort of like a very unhappy Saturday afternoon stuck on Omaha Beach trying to get off it. And we were there for hours. Mrs. taking it turn, well, you go that way, no, go this way, go that way, don't follow this one round here. And it took us about 2.5 hours to get off it. It's probably like the real thing, just minus like loads of bodies lying around you.
It's so intense that they've got.
It was because we were playing it on a PC and we sort of got big speakers at the side of it, turned the volume up, and it was like you were bloody there. You know, there was somebody shooting at me at the same time. It was something else. But so I was a massive fan of Medal of Honor, and when Call of Duty came out, I thought, oh well, it's going to be Medal of Honor. It's never going to quite take over. And then it did, didn't it? It sort of took that genre to this completely different level. Medal of Honor couldn't keep up with it, and
I mean, do you know the story of how that came about, Call of Duty?
I don't know. I don't.
Basically, the guys that used to make Medal of Honor, there was a disagreement or something, and some of the members of the team split off, and they created Infinity Ward, which then went on to make what was called at the time the Medal of Honor Killer, and then they changed it to Call of Duty.
Oh right, that's very similar to, on a much smaller scale, of the people who used to do Championship Manager, the football game.
Oh, okay.
And then they had a falling out, and then the people who did the original version went off to make Football Manager, still going to this today. And Championship Manager sort of died on its arse about two versions after that because it just wasn't as good. And the Football Manager game is now sort of like been first Football Manager game was 2005, and obviously they're still doing it to this day. It's exactly the same thing. They split and they went off and took their game engine with them or whatever, and that was it.
See, that's the thing, really. I mean, it's like with the Call of Duty Medal of Honor situation. I think that the good thing is they're two different types of game. So you've got Call of Duty, which is really just your bombastic AAA Hollywood, just Michael Bay experience, where you're just blowing shit up all over the place and just getting annihilated. Whereas Medal of Honor is a more slower paced, more authentic experience, which is what when they first created the first game with Steven Spielberg. Spielberg wanted that. He wanted an authentic war situation, which when you play it on the PS1, it really is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's an excellent game.
I mean, you're sort of walking around and it's sort of submarine bases with the papers and things like
Yeah, I love all that.
it is. I used to love shooting the alarm, set the alarm off, and then as they sort of running around, then just pick them off one by one. Yeah.
See, I like shooting them in the legs. I do, and they've got the grenades, and they just drop the grenade, and they're hopping around, and it blows them up.
There's a good way. It sounds horrible when you say things like this, but there's a good way to sort of like if you just sort of like shoot somebody so they bend forward, so you can see their neck exposed, and then just like bang in there, and off they're gone.
Yeah, I get sadistic with stuff like that on games.
We probably need to seek some sort of professional help if that's the case. But I mean, obviously that for you was sort of your favourite game in the series. I mean, what is your opinion of the series as such as it's gone through? Because it has sort of moved away from the World War II. It sort of went more modern day, then a bit futuristic. Then it's sort of gone back to World War II again with the last release. Back to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I only ever play campaign. Call of Duty 2 is the only time I played it multiplayer because I just don't care about online play anymore. And is that a helicopter?
That sounds like a helicopter at your end, yeah.
Is it mine? Bloody hell, yeah. That's low, isn't it? So I got the window out because it was really hot earlier. So.
It's all right. It's the Medal of Honor team come round to shoot you or something.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's the SEALs are coming for me. God, that's weird.
It's that authentic experience. Yes, we have arranged for you to be picked up by helicopter this evening to be taken off and thrown in the front line somewhere.
We're lucky, actually. Usually get Chinooks over and then bloody things rattle your house. So. Yeah, it's what the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah, Call of Duty, yeah. I've personally, I've played, I think, every single one there. They've got campaigns. I'm not, the futuristic ones are a bit, But I mean, to be honest, Advanced Warfighter, I played it not long ago, about a year or so ago, and it wasn't that bad. That's the one with Kevin Spacey, and that was. But I do prefer. Yeah, I do prefer the World War II stuff. Without that, I mean, as you say, they did do Call of Duty World War II the other year, which is actually a really, really fun game. Very cool.
I bought that a few months ago during lockdown because it was PlayStation. It was getting about £3, I think it was.
Have
I haven't played it yet. I haven't played it yet. No. I've just watched the video and I thought, I'm not going to get very far with that.
It's not that hard at all, honest.
I'll have to give it a go now and see how badly I get on with it. But
I've just got the one from last year, the Modern Warfare that they've redone. So I'm trying for that now. Because
my other half was sort of very good with the old Call of Duty. They used to take part in sort of clan matches as well. She was that good at it. I could never sort of play online. I thought that not even playing campaign mode, let alone go online and
it's impossible to play online now.
Oh yeah, I just wouldn't. It doesn't interest me in the slightest anyway. I wouldn't be good enough to go on there, and I just sort of bad I was.
Yeah, I mean, when it was Call of Duty 2, it was a lot slower paced as well. Whereas the ones after that is literally just log in, get shot and die, respawn, die, respawn, die. So that's worth it. Yeah.
Hey, you watch me play, yeah.
Yeah, same with me.
But I mean, I do like the settings on the game. But I've been a history buff anyway.
What sort of history are you into?
Well, when I was at, I did school. We did sort of GCSE. We did sort of World War II and stuff.
You got that at GCSE? We never got any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really pissed off over that. Actually.
and then we went off to I did history at college. American history.
Yeah, I love American history.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Very, very confusing. And because the year was split into two groups, one group got English history, and up 1800 or something or other.
Oh, lovely.
And the other half of the year, which I was in, got Nazi Germany, 1933 to 1945.
You're so lucky. All we got was the bloody Bayeux Tapestry and the Luddites. That's all I ever got told about. And 1066.
No. We had great. I really enjoyed doing the. But I like my history, so I'm also convinced that everybody should be made to sit down and watch The World at War all the way through, all 26 episodes.
Just watch Band of Brothers.
No, it's not the same. Anyway, that's it. But I like that history of the era, that sort of thing. So that is my sort of.
I did go back and read quite a few books on Churchill, and there's a great book about, I can't remember what it's called now, about the relationship between Churchill's Uncle Joe and Roosevelt, which was really, really good.
Yes, because I watched again, I think it was a documentary on. I thought I'd just watch the first one of these, and then episodes. I thought that was quite good. That I do like my history.
Yeah, you can't go. I mean, I got when I was a teenager and stuff. I was really into like the civil rights movement in America, and the Black Panthers and all that. I was reading loads of stuff about that and watching documentaries.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of stuff I sort of picked up through watching bits and going through that. But American history was very, very complicated.
Yeah,
Looking at the house system over there, that's a. So I thought, yeah, I'm not really very good at this sort of thing, and. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm so having flashbacks to university. No, stop. Right, so that's 4 of your 6 games on your Desert Island Games list. Let's go back briefly to your console history. So we're getting towards a bit more modern. Again, we've talked about this systems. We're talking about now the games. We just about from there. So we're talking Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Wii.
Yeah, the main 3. So yeah, I mean, as I said, like being an Xbox fanboy, 360 was day one for me. I was the first person to pre-order one at Game. I went straight down there as soon as I got the email. Next morning, I was straight down there on my lunch break. I was like, getting pre-ordering as like you're the first person to come in. I was like, couldn't wait any longer. So what a system! I mean, I remember December the 2nd, 2005. I'll never forget that day. I was the first one to pre-order. They called me in during the week saying your system's in, so I had no problem at all. Put all my order in for my games, and I think it was about 7 o'clock the shop was opening, and I ended up getting up and getting down there for about 5, half 5, somewhere around there. And there's like a line of people who hadn't ordered and wanted to get one of the consoles they had. And I remember I had my tea with me and my little flask, and it was really cool. It's the only experience I've ever had like the Americans have, where I'm standing in line talking to other gamers, and it was really exciting for this machine to come out. It was incredible. I remember I said Call of Duty 2 was one of the games that really took me over that day, but the other one was Condemned. Have you ever played that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal game. I'd highly recommend it. It scared the shit out of you, but it's well worth playing.
I probably won't play it then because I don't play games like that.
It's proper jumpy. It's shocking.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. It's sort of like survival horror type thing. I just
I don't myself normally, but it's proper intense, that game.
I do sort of specialise in buying games that are like that for some reason. I think bought that because the only reason I bought it because it was like I found a special edition with all the 3D lithograph on the front.
Right, got you.
A lenticular cover, sorry, and the book was inside it. It was a special edition. I thought it was only $1.99. I thought, buy that. The bloke told me, he said, it's a sort of game you play with the lights turned on, and your neighbours come round to keep you company. He was like,
that's really selling it, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to play that, so that's fine. I'll just put it on the shelf with everything else. Yeah, but I don't usually get involved in those sort of games.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I mean, I was playing on the original Xbox. It was when I first started playing Xbox Live, and I was playing Halo 2 a lot with a group of friends. It was like one of my friends, her boyfriend who became her husband. I was playing Halo 2 with him and his workmates. And then the Xbox 360 came out, and I was playing Call of Duty 2, and I played Gears of War. And I can't remember what else I was playing. I was probably playing some others as well, but yeah, that was a really, really good time when that came out. And then, of course, the PS3 came out in 2007. And I ended up buying one from America first of all because I couldn't wait. I ended up importing one. That wasn't wise. And yeah, I got the PS3 in 2007, played Resistance Fallen Man, and it was fun. The reason I got that really was because it got a Blu-ray player in it, to be honest with you.
I've got to be honest with you, that when we were debating getting a PlayStation 3 or a 360, it was Blu-ray that swung us as well. And also the fact you could use a PlayStation 3 as sort of like a media service stream.
Yeah.
So that it was, and I was a bit gutted because I wanted I wanted to get a 360 at the time because obviously there was a bigger library of games for it at the time, but probably was the right decision, but it didn't get used the gaming machine.
So just a Blu-ray player.
It was just being used mostly for that, and occasionally you stick a game in there and play it. Whereas when I bought I only got 360 last year.
Oh right, for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time. So I always wanted one, and I love playing on this.
Yeah, it is a great system.
I do. I don't usually. I don't mind. I think PlayStation 3 is a good system. I've just used it for other stuff.
Oh, this is the thing: is the PS3 became my system of that generation.
Oh, right, okay.
I know, yeah. It's just back and forth. And there's a bit of backstory as well. The reason I wanted it for a Blu-ray player was because at the time there was the format war with HD DVD. And I put my money behind HD DVD. I'd imported a HD DVD player, Toshiba one, from the States. And I was convinced that HD DVD was going to win because it looked like it was. It was the cheaper format. It was called HD DVD, so it was easy for people to understand. It had all the best films. Yeah.
Easy to say, though. HD DVD.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But yeah, everyone calls bloody Blu-rays DVDs, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. It drives me nuts that people buy DVDs. I don't understand that, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, everyone goes on about the PlayStation 3. They go, oh, it's 425 quid in the UK. Everyone goes, oh, it was far too expensive, and Sony made a mistake. And yes, they were arrogant off the back of the PS2. But it was £425 for a brand new, super powerful console with a custom chipset and a Blu-ray player. And at the time, Sony's own standalone Blu-ray player was £1,000. So I thought 425 was a steal.
It was, and it still is, an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
And once that sort of, high definition disc war was done and dusted, made a real investment on this. I still want a HD DVD player. I still like one.
Well, you can get one for the 360, can't you?
You can get one for the 360, but the thing is that there's a terrible problem with disc rot on a lot of the Warner.
Is there? Ah.
Yeah, it's a well-known fact that anything that was anything Warner Brothers films, which would be the Harry Potter stuff and the Batman films, etc., those discs are notorious for disc rot.
And it was their fault, the Blu-ray run as well. They were the last ones to sell out. I was well pissed off over that.
So be warned if you do pick one up. But I still would like to get one.
Yeah, they're really cool. And you got the red cases as well, so
Yeah, they look quite cool. But I like the Blu-ray, so it's.
I've gotten used to them. Yeah, I'm still a bit salty on that because to me the HD DVD was the better format. But yeah.
But so I still I think I prefer the 360 as a gaming machine.
It's better in terms of updates. I know that much.
Well, PlayStation 3, we had all that problem with the PlayStation Network because we got free games at the time.
Yeah, it doesn't like to log in, does it?
And there's always danger of bricking it as well. That was a problem. They were scared to do an update. I'm still scared to do an update with PlayStation 4 now, just in case something goes wrong.
Well, back then as well. But none of them. As I say, I never had a problem with the PS3, but I know a lot of people did with the yellow lights, and you had the 360 dying with the bloody red lights. It was like.
Yeah, the only problem we did have the yellow light eventually, but I think that's because the PlayStation 3 was getting hammered an awful time if playing sort of online with it doing Ag and Killzone 2 and all that. Lasted a bit longer, but it's a shame really. But I got the Slim's not quite the same.
I've got a Slim.
I don't quite like it much.
It's better than Super Slim.
Yeah.
That's a piece of shit. That's not what we're doing with that one. Bloody hell. That's the cheapest, nastiest looking thing. They went for the most expensive looking one to the shittiest one.
we're obviously again sort of treating Nintendo quite badly because we're not talking about the little white box in the room.
One of the most one of the best selling consoles of all time. Yeah.
Yes, probably. If not the best, was it not the best selling one at the moment?
It's number 3 at the moment. I think it's been dropped down because the PS4's nudged in it. So.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think the PS2 is if I remember rightly, it's the PS2 is the biggest one, is number 1 selling console. Then I think PS4 is like number 2, and then Wii's number 3. I think.
But it was very surprising, wasn't it? Because bear in mind that the N64 did reasonably well, but the GameCube sort of died in its arse.
Yeah.
This was okay. It's got this gimmick where you got motion controls tacked onto it.
It was genius, wasn't it?
Well, it was really, because most people when they played it said exactly the same thing. Playing Wii Sports, I must get one of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dad
100 million units, you know.
Dad did it, and he's still sat in the drawer.
Yeah.
My friend brought one round to our house, and we played on it. And I said, "We've got to get one of these," and my missus says, "No." Did eventually get that console from our friend because she moved flat and she gave it to us as a gift for helping her move flat. I thought, oh, fantastic.
That worked out, yeah.
And it sat in the corner for about 2 years afterwards, gathering dust. It didn't get used at all. And that's the time, a point we had like 10 games for it. You know, people don't believe, about 4 years ago, I had 10 games for the Wii. And I just sort of bought a couple of games and it just sort of spiraled out of control. I always take the mick out of it a little bit. I'm not a Wii fanboy at all in the slightest.
With that collection?
Well, no, because sometimes you just get attached to a console.
Yeah.
And you think, I don't know, it's just something about it. And everybody else.
It's so different, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and everybody else collect. It's easy to go and collect for a Mega Drive. It's easy to go and collect for a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1. As far as we're aware, we talked about it the other day. It's probably one person in the world who managed to get a complete collection.
Is that the guy in America, Metal Jesus?
Everyone knows about it. Yeah, so
everyone's seen that video. They still went, "What the fucking hell did you do that for?"
No one else has been stupid enough to even get really close to it. And the reason is because all those games are so cheap. I mean, when I first started collecting for it, I was buying games that were like 25p in CEX. I mean, the majority of those games there probably cost me £1 or less.
Bloody hell, that's amazing.
Some of them have cost me more than that. I'm not doing it on the cheap. Like I said, I mentioned paid for that. I think Muramasa the Demon Blade. I paid 15 quid for that. I think that's a 30 quid game at the moment. So there are, there are a couple of limited editions which I'm never going to get hold of, which are so hard to get. As soon as they come up on eBay or something like that, the price sort of doubles overnight.
Yeah.
But it's just a system I like. I know it got some horribly lazy ports where they just sort of like giving the idea, and it's motion controls and it got some horribly crappy games, very much kids orientated rubbish, which there to sort of generate quick profit, nothing else. But I just like it. It just sits with me.
It definitely has its advantages, I think. I mean, you know yourself at the time in 2006, it was really hard to get a Wii.
Yeah, it was practically impossible.
Yeah, I got mine on eBay by pure luck. And when I was living in Birmingham, my parents were down south, so I had it shipped down to them from the guy on eBay, and we managed to just get it in time for Christmas.
Oh, I was lucky then. Yeah.
Oh, it was incredible. It's the only time I've ever got my mum to play a game. Yeah, so. It did do what it's supposed to do.
Well, it's same with my dad. I mean, apart from my dad ever sitting down and sort of playing something like Gettysburg on the Amiga, he no interest in games whatsoever. Flipping Wii Play on in front of him or something like that, and he was happy. He was absolutely thrilled.
I played tons. I mean, my mum played bowling a little bit, but me and my dad was just obsessed with Wii Golf. Played the hell out of that at Christmas.
Well, I used to do a bit of bowling, so I thought the bowling mechanics were fantastic. It was like the real bloody thing. I thought, this is fantastic. This is great.
It's really clever. The thing is, though, I think a lot of people didn't throw themselves into it. Now, like the tennis game, I think most people, because they realise quickly, you can just waggle the controller. But if I was playing a tennis game, I was running up and down, left and right in the living room. I was playing it properly.
Have you ever seen that bit in the In-Betweeners when they were playing on the Wii?
I haven't. I've watched a lot of that, I know.
They were just sitting there, and I think Will's playing Jay, I think he is, they're having a conversation, and Will's sort of in the room, sort of like, jumping around the place, and Jay's just sitting there flicking the controller. he's kicking his ass on it, and that's exactly what it is. When I play games like that, I play that golf game, and I've taken it far too seriously.
Oh, hold it like a club, like the way you're supposed to hold it. Yeah, so do I.
I'm swinging hard, and the one time I thought, God, put my shoulder out nearly doing that. I shouldn't have to do that. You don't need to do it, but you get carried away with it.
Yeah, you start reading all the wind readings on the screen, and if it makes sure it's all the right.
Yep. Yeah. That's it. But I mean, we talked about sort of kids-orientated games. I mean, I'm looking at some of the games I've got here now, and I always try and pull these examples out. Yes, there were games like that, but then again, you got a couple of cracking House of the Dead games on there. House of the Dead Kill, House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return.
Yeah.
We mentioned GoldenEye earlier.
It was an incredible game, absolutely
incredibly good game. Yeah. You got
and also I'll be honest, sorry, it's just one of the best first-person shooters on the system for motion controls. It plays better with motion controls than it does with the Pro controller.
Yeah, it does. You've got Sin and Punishment, which is
that's a good game.
Cracking Dead Space Extraction.
I've still not played that yet. I've got it on the shelf.
Yeah, honestly, best on the rail shooters on there. And Ghost Squad. Have you ever played Ghost Squad?
Another one that I still need to pick up. I've been meaning to pick up that for about the last 10 years.
I always say, it's only £1. Go and pick it up. It's actually, it's a dirt cheap game. I mean, a lot of these games are good games, and they're dirt cheap to pick up. But people think, because they've got £1, then crap, I'm going to pick them up, and people just ignore them. But I mean, Ghost Squad is just one of those. It's like Time Crisis.
Yeah, like Gun Job, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just great fun to play. The Guitar Hero games are great on it. I love playing those. Some of the Harry Potter games are quite fun as well. The Ghostbusters game, which came out on the PlayStation 3 on the Wii, that is also good. You've got a remake of A Boy and His Blob. I mean, I could go on. I'm not going to bore
That's
people
pretty good,
stupid with it.
Also, you've got the Conduit as well, which is one of the best first-person shooters ever made.
That's right. The sequel's not too bad either as well.
The sequel's a pile of shit.
I don't know. It's not. It's not that.
You obviously not seen my video when I slagged that off when it came
out. I'll just another one as well. Just chuck out before I move on from that one. Is Bit Trip Complete.
What is Bit Trip? I keep hearing about that.
It's basically it's sort of I say it's a rhythm game because that's what it is, because it's sort of like a platforming game, scrolling left to right.
Okay.
And you have to sort of jump at a certain time, but it's very much in line with
time with the music, is it?
Not yes, I mean it is like that.
Right.
You got to get it absolutely, but it's so addictive, and the music is fantastic.
So I asked because the reason is, do you know the game Breakout, which is like Arkanoid?
Yeah.
Well, there's a new Breakout coming to Intellivision Amico next year, and it's made by the guys that did Bit Trip, so everyone's getting really excited because of that.
Yeah, and I said the Bit Trip Complete that came out on the Wii. There's I think about 6 games altogether that were released on the Wii store. It's all part of a package, and you actually get a disc of the music as well, which is really, really good.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Then.
Yeah.
I should look into the Wii. It's just there's such a vast library. It's like I don't even know where to begin. I mean, some of the games you've mentioned I've got already, but beyond that,
I think a lot of people will look at the Wii and say there's probably 100 games on there that they would want to collect. 50 to 100 games maybe.
Which is a decent amount, yeah.
You wouldn't want to pick up things like Sesame Street, Ready, Steady, Grover. Ant-Bully, and The Biggest Loser, and Countdown, and all the stuff I seem to buy. But someone's going to buy them.
Well, yeah.
At some point in the future, most of these games won't exist because people just say, this is crap, and I'll just throw this away.
True.
That's what my missus always said to me. She said, well, that's what people do. They'll just get rid of stuff now because it's rubbish on the Wii. They'll just get rid of it.
Yeah, car boots are full of them.
Yeah. So I just collect other people's unwanted rubbish. That's the best way to look at it, really.
Well, that's fair enough, yeah.
And then, of course, after that, there was what is customary known as the Wii 1.5.
Yes, yeah, the attachment,
which I think is drastically unfair.
Again, it's another system where I think that basically people, like the original Xbox, a lot of people didn't own it, so that they go with the media and everybody saying how shit it was, and it's not. When you hold the gamepad, the Wii U is an excellent console. 14
million units sold worldwide.
Yeah, that's pretty shit, isn't it?
Game library of 172, I think it was.
For From 100 million units on the Wii to 14 million.
And from 1,200 games up to 172, it's a bit of a step down,
Christ.
isn't it?
At least it's easy to collect for. So
Well, it's not, is it? That's the problem. Everybody looks at the Wii U and thinks, 170 games to collect there. And there does seem to be a bit of a pace gathering at the moment of people trying to complete that set. The problem is some of the games are so drastically short printed. Some of them are already sort of going into three figures already.
well, Devil's Third started growing, but it went mental. Then it come down. Now it's starting to go back a little bit, which they should need to put that on the Switch, really, to be honest.
But this is the thing. But I mean, you mentioned the gamepad. I like the gamepad on it. I know some people don't, but I think it's just great.
It is. I used to get cramp in my left hand, but it's actually a really, really comfortable gamepad to use, controller even.
I mean, I think it's a system which was got such a rough ride, but I can see why it did.
Completely.
And if they'd gone straight from the Wii to the Switch without going to the Wii U, then I think
they jumped ship too early. They should have waited, really.
Yeah, it's like I look at this at the Mega CD. The technology wasn't quite there to make it the Saturn. You see what they're trying to do. That's where they were going to go with, but technology wasn't there with the Wii U. The technology, I suppose, was there, but they didn't quite get it right.
Yeah, only could have also been cost as well. I mean, them bloody gamepads were really expensive as well.
Well, they still are at the moment. And if you break that gamepad, you can buy the actual the sort of the hard drive unit itself quite cheaply.
Right.
If you break that gamepad, you're looking close to 100 quid to get that.
That's the problem. You get a lot of people sending them separately on the bloody internet. And it's all right sending them separately, but then the consoles ain't got the gamepads with them.
And the thing is, you need that gamepad to get into some of the games.
Yeah, the thing is, it's easy to pick fault with the machine. Like, it's got digital triggers and then got analog. The screen wasn't really used to its full benefit. You tend to look at the screen instead of finding that balance between looking at the screen and using your TV. It's more just looking at the gamepad. But that was about it, really. And yeah, the size of it. But in terms of comfort, it's brilliant, and in terms of the actual resolution on the gamepad screen, it's fantastic.
And you could sort of move away from the console without having to sort of turn it on and
just not too far.
Yeah. 2 foot. I think probably about as far as you can go. But
as soon as you walk to your bedroom, it's because nope.
But I mean, we mentioned things like that. It's like these are the things that they've improved with the Switch that weren't right with the Wii U. And I mean, I've got a small collection, about 20 odd. And I just like it. I think it's great, and people should stop hating it.
Again, it's probably just people that never played it. You know how it goes. People are like that sometimes.
Yes. But yeah, I picked mine up start of last year, I think it was. I did pay 90 for it. I've obviously got some voucher off that, but. I'm pleased with it. I'll get it's sort of the last console. I thought I got the 360. I got that. I thought I don't really need anything else now. I'm pretty much there with all the consoles that I've accumulated. I don't think I'm missing anything that I can probably sort of get readily available. I'm pleased I've got one because I do use it a little bit. And Sonic transformed on there, which is really. Quite enjoy playing Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens as well, because the first time I played a Star Wars Lego game for ages. Try and have a bash at Mighty Number 9 as well.
I have big swings about that one.
Everybody hates that game, but I'm determined to enjoy it.
Yeah, the Sonic Transform one's brilliant. I love that game.
I love the Sonic racing games.
Yeah, that's one of my favourites when I had the Wii U back in 2013.
Prefer the Sonic racing games over the Mario games, to be honest with
you. Oh, then I don't think I'll go that far.
Okay.
But I'm a SNES guy.
I'm learning to appreciate Mario Kart more as it's gone on. I didn't like it to start with, whereas with the Sonic racing games, I played the sit-down arcade one as well, which is quite a bit of fun. Got the version on the Wii, and I've got that version on the Wii U, and I love both of those games.
Well, fair enough.
I have my opinions.
Of course.
So we'll before we get to the current generation of consoles, which we'll finish on, let's go back to your final 2 games for your Desert Island.
Okay.
We're going right back to the very start here, a couple of systems that we talked about right at the very beginning.
2 of the best systems.
Just as we've gone past the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I can't believe how quick it's gone.
That's yeah, me neither. I can't believe it. I said before we started, once you get talking about stuff like this and we get going, and it's very difficult not to do these in less than sort of a day. So it's all right. So we mentioned Super Castlevania earlier on. That dreaded word "super" strikes again.
Yeah, it
but
does.
I remember this game because a friend of mine had it, and he wouldn't shut up about it, saying how good it was. And this is a shoot 'em up. I think it's the only shooter on your list.
It is, yeah.
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 So this is.
Yeah, it's the Super Aleste or Space Megaforce as it is in the States. This is a game that basically when I was collecting for the American Super Nintendo, I always wanted to own and couldn't afford to because I think it was about £350, £400 or something ridiculous. It might be more at the time.
Oh, grief.
Yeah, it's way out of my price range. It's down to about £250, £300 now, I think, for a decent copy. So, a bit better.
Well, so the bottom's dropped out the market then for it completely.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why. But
Sounds like a bargain.
Well, compared to like the UK one where you can get it for like £60 to £100, depending, it's a bit of a difference. So I played this one for the first time in 2017 when I was collecting PAL SNES, and because it was cheap, I was like, I'm finally going to be able to play this bloody game. It's just a phenomenal shooter. It's really, especially if you're an Amiga guy like us, it really does remind me of that because of the music. The music is just so 90s and so Amiga-esque, and it's just like really bright, really colourful, loads of stuff going on screen. It's not, and I'm not a big vertical shooter guy either. I prefer horizontal, but this one just works. It can be a little challenging in some of the later stages. It can kind of annoy you because you have levels where the screen's constantly moving up on you as it does on every level. But on these particular levels, you have to shoot. You play Salamander.
Yes, lovely.
You have like, I don't know what the stuff's called. There, you have to shoot through that stuff to get through to the other side of the screen. It's like a ball based, isn't it? You have to blast your way through. So they have that on Super Aleste when you're going up the screen, and you have to work your way up, and there's little things trying to shoot you on the side and that. And you have little bonus stages. It's an incredible game, to be quite honest.
I mean, I am no good at shooters, and I mentioned Salamander there. I played back to back a few weeks ago. Thunder Force 3, R-Type, Salamander, Gradius, and Darius. I was in tears by the end of it. It really was.
Do you prefer horizontal or vertical?
I think horizontal for me.
It's
a classic. It's a classic way of doing it. I don't mind vertical. I think vertical is. Then on 2 earlier, that wasn't great. But having seen my friends years and years ago play Super Aleste, a bit different that is. You don't normally see that sort of angle because you're always used to the side on sort of left to right.
Yeah.
Going back to sort of the 8-bit days. Yeah, I don't have much memories of this one. They were raving about Super Aleste, saying how good it was, and a game I never played, so something I experience really.
I never experienced it at the time either. It was only through collecting the American SNES that I came across it as I was looking at different games like hidden gem videos and whatnot, and I just thought it looked really cool, so I wanted to try it. But as I say, it was far too expensive, so when I got to do PAL SNES collecting, I thought, I'm going to grab that one, and it's got a nice yellow box and all.
but I mean, that was like 3 years ago, wasn't it? So I mean, for a game to be that old, but then for you to play quite recently, because when I saw that on your list, I thought, oh, that's going back a bit. But of course, you don't remember, you don't know how long people ago, how recently people have played games.
Yeah, and the good thing is it hasn't risen in price, either. It's still around the same price.
If you had told me years ago about Aladdin on the Mega Drive, I'd have gone, I'd have dismissed it. So, kids game sort of thing. But then I got it sort of 10 years ago, and I thought, this is fantastic. This is like, how good is this game? And sort of rediscovering classics that people have spoken about or talked about, you've heard about, and you sort of end up loving them more than games you played recently, which you really like.
Yeah, Aladdin's fantastic, to be honest. I didn't play that until probably a few years back now, and yeah, I mean, the animation on that game is just stellar.
It stands up beautifully today. It really does. And is that one they've re-released for the Lion King?
It was, yeah, on the Switch and all
Wasn't
that.
so keen on the Lion King.
I've never played it, because it always looked a bit crap.
It's not as good. I think from Aladdin and then Lion King, there's a sort of a downwards. You get the Jungle Book, and then we sort of like really scraping the barrel. I didn't wasn't very keen on that at all. It just seemed like a rehash of Lion King. I'm an expert on Disney platformers. Well, wasn't one of my favourite ones.
Yeah, I don't like. I've played Jungle Book. It wasn't that good, and Lion King looked a bit boring, to be quite honest. But Aladdin's excellent, both on the SNES and the Mega Drive.
The music's good on the Lion King. I'll give it that. But we're talking about licenses because that leads very nicely on your final game on the list. And again, this is one I've not played. I've heard about it. I've never played it, so you'll have to sort of fill me in on this one again. But it's on the Mega Drive. This one.
Master System. This one.
Was it?
The best version.
Did I not write that down correctly? So I'll say that again. So this is on the Master System then?
It's probably because everybody says the Mega Drive version is the best one, and it really isn't.
Okay. Because I'm sort of on a bit of a Master System kick at the moment. So
nice.
You might be able to try and sell me this over the airwaves.
Try. So it's RoboCop versus Terminator.
There's a combination, is it? Now, this is something that doesn't make any sense in the slightest either. Going back to Smash Brothers, because I couldn't understand why you got Nintendo characters fighting each other. Why the hell are the Terminator and the RoboCop having a fight?
That's a great question. I know on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo version there's an actual storyline. If I remember right on the Master System, there isn't. You just do the levels, but they've actually got like little cartoon strips on the Mega Drive and SNES version. Right. So it sort of sets out the futuristic story and explains why they would be doing it. But yeah, you just go, okay, whatever.
So somebody's had the thought somewhere to put together a storyline as opposed to just sort of like, we'll just bash some levels out. And
I think he comes from a comic book. I'm not sure of that.
Interesting idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how. Go on. So how did it work?
Well, basically, it's a platform action game, and you have different things. Like you got to rescue hostages, or you got to shoot the cameras, the CCTV cameras on one the level. Another one. What was the other one there? I'm trying to remember all the. There's all kinds of different levels, like you go through caves and stuff, and it's really the thing that I really loved about this game was the rhythm that you get into when you're going up and down ladders and you're going across like this wire thing that you can slide across, and the rhythm you get in shooting the guys and remembering the patterns of where the enemies are going to pop out from. So you'll be shooting a guy in front of you and there'll be one below you and one above you, and it just feels so good. It flows so nicely when I'm playing the game. And then on top of that, it's got this incredible. I mean, the Master System's not got the best soundtracks in the world.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's a bit underwhelmed. But when it's used properly and they actually take advantage of that chip, it's really cool. And this has got like a really, really catchy soundtrack to this game all the way through it. It's very repetitive because it just sort of plays the same tune over and over again. But it's just incredible, and the sound effects are really great. The animation's fantastic. Everybody says the Mega Drive game's better, but for me, the Mega Drive version it's got this music with this stupid woman doing a voiceover. It ruins the song completely. And I always thought it was too gory until I went back and watched my gameplay of the Master System version. And actually, there was blood in that one, which I didn't realise. It's just, if you like a game where you can just get a real flow with your game, and you get to learn patterns and blow stuff up, it's absolutely superb.
That sounds like my sort of thing. Okay, that's pretty much sold me on that fact.
Good, you can't go wrong with it. Honestly, Ross, it's a very simple game, just shooting everything. So,
yeah, that does sound like my sort of game. Simpler the better, really. So it works as sort of a game in terms of using the characters correctly and.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the game I was talking about actually earlier, about the game that I played the one night to do a gameplay video, and I ended up completing the whole thing. And I've been trying to complete it for about 2 weeks, and I couldn't do it. And I was just, for some reason, I started filming the TV, I was playing the game, and it all just came together, and I didn't die, and I was like, oh my god! And I got through the level I got stuck on. I was like, how did I just do that?
I'm gonna sit down and watch that and see how you get on with that.
It's really good because I can't. There's one level I just could not work out where you're supposed to go, and I got to actually get stuck when you watch the gameplay. You see me get stuck again, and then suddenly I'll figure it out, and I'm like, and then I got all the way to the end, and the boss is a total bastard, but I managed to just about kill him. It's a really, really good game. So, yeah.
I'm pleased it's on that list because I'd have never have. I've heard of this game. I never played before. I haven't played it myself, and I'm really chuffed that's on there. And you've really sort of sold that, and I'm definitely going to try and track that down. I'll watch that video first of all, get some pointers off it, and see if I can get hold of a copy and
yeah, go for it because I've
have a
done
stab
pretty
at
well.
It's interesting. It's interesting you've got that there because your Master System wasn't on your list of consoles.
I did play one when I was young. As I said earlier, I had an older friend called Brian who had a Super Famicom and he used to had a Magicom to pilot the games. And he had a friend called Sean, and Sean had a friend whose name I can't remember. And them two had Master Systems, so I did get to play like Rocky quite a lot.
I see. Yeah.
Not the greatest example of Master System games, but
no.
But that was the only time I played it, and then oh god, I don't know when it was now. It's quite a few years ago now. I started collecting Master System. I thought I'd give it a try because I didn't really know much about the system other than Rocky. And yeah, that's why I got into it. And I actually, not being a Sega guy as well, I absolutely love the system. I think it's a great console.
Yeah, I do as well. I think it's vastly underrated and very much gets overshadowed by the NES, and I don't see why really. I think there's no comparison between the two.
No, and I think as well, because I know not everyone agrees with me on this, but I find that games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe, they play so much better on the Master System than the Mega Drive.
A lot of people say that. I've not. Can't really comment on that because I've not played a huge amount of titles on the Master System.
It's really surprising. I mean, even Castle of Illusion plays really well on the Master System. Admittedly, the Mega Drive one looks way more beautiful, but for what the Master System can do, they did a really good job on it.
And sometimes it's less about what a game looks like and sounds like; it's how it plays. And
it's always fundamental. Yeah.
People always say that about. I've always heard people say that about Sonic. That the Game Gear version and Master System version play much better than the Mega Drive version. I played the Mega Drive version. I like the Mega Drive. Form an opinion on that. So.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I always find it hard when people. I can understand if you're younger, but if you're like our age group and you've grown up with all this stuff, when they say, "Oh, I can't go back and play that because of the graphics," I'm like, "Well, why?" Yeah, I mean, I remember years ago I was at a car boot, and they had one of those Atari joysticks that you just plug into the TV with composite.
Yep.
So I picked one of them up and I took it home. My dad had got a little LCD, so I plugged it into the LCD, and I sat there for the next hour playing Missile Command. I mean, it's like the most basic game in the world, but it was brilliant.
And that's the thing, if people, you show somebody a game from 30 years ago, and the first thing they say, well, that looks terrible. Yeah, well, it makes a difference if it looks terrible or not. Sit down and play it.
It's addictive.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing. Games in those days may not have looked like much, but get your money's worth out of them. Nowadays, you can fork out 45, 50 quid for something which is fantastic and plays like a complete pile of cack.
And that's why like Pac-Man and Space Invaders and Asteroids are so timeless.
Exactly. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Pac-Man Championship Edition DX on the PlayStation 3 recently.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the thing is, you can alter the visuals, so you can have it looking like 1980s Pac-Man. Really wanted to have it look like, late 80s Pac-Mania Pac-Man, you can have it look like that, or if you want it sort of banged up to date, you could have it turned up to those graphics. You get the choice of doing it. It's still the same. Cool. It's still the same game at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of Missile Command as well, that's coming out on the Amico next year. They've got a brand new version coming out, up to 8 players.
80 players?
8 players.
Oh, 8 players. Sorry, I think 8.
That would be complicated.
Be a bit confusing, that wouldn't it? Really? Mind you, they've got 99 players of play a version of Tetris, haven't they, at the moment? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it does look really good as well. It's like really intense. The sound effects and the music are just ridiculous on it.
But then this game is practically untouched from sort of 40 years ago, near enough.
And that really proves the point, isn't it? It's timeless gameplay. You don't need to do anything with it.
Let's hope they don't do too much with it.
No, they'll just jazz the graphics up and put multiplayer into it, basically. So yeah.
But then I think of Space Invaders and the times that we had Super Space Invaders and terrible PlayStation 2 title, Space Invaders Invasion Day, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I don't think that was that bad actually.
I don't think it was
that
bad.
It's not a Space Invaders game, is it? Yeah.
I actually love the stupid overblown cinematic opening for that game. It is absolutely ludicrous, but I love it. It was worth me paying £1 for that game, just that introduction.
That's a fair point.
Well, let's talk about current consoles. I'm going to touch you very, very quickly because we still got a couple of games to get through and going on for a bit now. just really a brief summarisation. So you've got the Xbox One. What's your opinions on that?
It's okay. The actual system's good. When I first got one on day one, the mandatory installs on the games were taking the piss. I still don't understand why they did that. I know it's something to do with the disc and having to like dump some of the data and that. I don't know, but it was just a massive failure, wasn't it? Basically, it's a cool console. Exclusives, the ones that it has got are really good, but it hasn't got a lot. Sunset Overdrive and Rise Son of Rome are absolutely phenomenal games. Two massively underrated games as per usual. But I think Xbox is screwed, to be honest, at this point. I don't think they've got a hope in hell next generation. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on with Xbox, to be honest with you right now. It's a total mess, and everyone's losing their shit because they've just bought Bethesda. Well, who cares? They've just wasted the money.
I've not delved into Xbox One at all. My sort of interest really sort of finishes with the 360. I like that machine. I may get an Xbox One at some point in the future if I find it cheap enough. But,
yeah, if you can get it cheap enough, it's worth it. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the current generation.
Well, the PS4's worth it.
I've got a PS4, but again, at the moment, it sort of doubles itself as a rather excellent dust gatherer and Blu-ray player. Although I think I've got maybe 6 or 7 games for it. Honestly, truthfully, when I changed my mobile phone there was a deal to get a PlayStation 1 at the same time. Right. A PlayStation 4 at the same time, so PlayStation 4.
That'd be even better deal, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. We would have got more use out of it, probably. So that was the reason I had a PlayStation.
Slim.
Yes. Yeah, I don't want that one, thank you, the cut-down version. And that was the only reason I got a PlayStation 4, because I got my phone for free. I think I paid, was it £15 a month, 2 years for the PlayStation 4. And my phone contract was like literally £1. It worked out all right. So basically, for £16 a month, I got a phone, all my calls, all my text messages, and a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, you can't argue with that, really.
Not really. So it seemed a good deal at the time, which is why I took it. But had it not come with the PlayStation 4, I probably wouldn't have got the phone anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, I think again, the missus has she's played Fallout 4 on it, and she's played Star Wars Battlefront and possibly one other game for it, and played a bit of FIFA 18 on it. That's about it.
It's a great console, and I'm way behind on this generation at the moment. I'm catching up now. I'm trying to start buying games because I've been waiting for the prices to come down.
Yes, yeah. I have as well. I think if the price starts to come down on the games, I'll probably pick a few more up.
This is the thing with that Call of Duty game I just ordered. It's been out for a year and it just ain't dropping in price, so I managed to get a good deal on the used one the other day. Otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. But also the VR is absolutely phenomenal, by the way.
A friend of mine's got that, and I've played Astrobot.
Yeah, what a game.
Yeah,
that's so good.
That's brilliant. And I'm terrible with 3D and stuff like that because my eyes just don't do it. But I absolutely love that. I thought, this is brilliant.
It's just next level, isn't it, when you play that?
Yeah. But then I've been told, because I don't like survival horror games, is don't play Resident Evil 7.
It isn't that bad.
I might not sleep for a week.
Yeah, I've only played the beginning of it, and it wasn't too bad, and it was in the daytime. So
chicken. There we go.
Yeah, I am playing it on my own in the night time. No way.
But I know people who have got the system that they speak very highly of the PlayStation 4. So I think if I sat down and with a bit more,
it's just got such a big library again, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't see the difference. So once the prices start dropping on the games, I think I'll probably try and on the games that I'll be interested in playing. Kind of driving games, and I think we've got Drive Club, but That's the only one at the moment. One I really want to pick up is Forza Horizon for the 360 because I haven't got that yet. Can't find a cheap copy anywhere. It's at least £10.
Yeah, I've tried playing the Forza games. I can't play them at all. I just crash my car too much.
Oh, I love them. I think they're great.
Everyone's.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, everyone says it's Horizon's the arcade one in it because then there's Motorsport, which is the professional one.
Yeah, I'm happy with Motorsport. To be honest, until I play Horizon, I won't really know what the difference is.
Well, I tried Motorsport on the Xbox One. I was playing with Shocks and Jurassic Junkie and a few others, and I was useless. They were just racing around the track, and I was just hitting the wall. So I was like, it's not for me.
Hey, you can get some practice in, mate. That's what you need to do.
Nah.
Yeah.
I can't be asked to be honest. I'll stick with PS4. It's a lot easier.
And then the last system on your list which is one I do own as well, which is the Switch.
Yeah, which I only had briefly. So I've literally played Mario Odyssey and sold it.
Oh right, was there a reason for that, or?
Yeah, at the time I had all three. So at the time I was just playing Xbox and PlayStation. I didn't care about Switch. I literally played Mario Odyssey, thought it was incredible, loved every minute of that, and I had that Street Fighter game. I can't remember. Then I did Street Fighter 2. Was it Turbo Ultimate? Bloody something or other, I don't know. Some bleeding ridiculous title that they put on these games.
I can't remember that one now.
I think it was a launch title. It's just a piss poor port that took off the 360 digital store, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it was Ultimate Collection or some bullshit like that. But yeah, I mean, I like the hardware. The hardware's fantastic. I mean, you can't fault the Switch at all. It's really cool. But now it's gotten to the point. I watch everybody on YouTube, and the collecting has just gotten ridiculous with the Switch. And I thought, no, I'm not getting involved in that again. There's just all this limited run bullshit and all. And there's so much that I don't like about the way gaming is going at the moment with the industry.
Yeah, I must be honest with you. I do agree with that. I mean, I was fortunate to get a Switch for Christmas.
And how are you finding it?
Well, I don't play on it very much. The ongoing joke is I still got it in the box. No, I haven't got it still in the box. I do play it. But games, I think when I got it gift, I was given Zelda Breath of the Wild with it, and that's just the wrong game for me because I haven't got the time to sit down.
Yeah, it would be for me too.
Do that. I played a couple of hours on it. The missus played a couple of hours on it. We both agreed it was good fun, but we need to sit there and play another 20 hours before we can sort of say how far we've got into it. It's much easier for me to sort of sit down and play Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly. Just quick.
And that was great. I hate Mario Kart. Like I said, I'm appreciating Mario Kart more now. So Mario Kart play a lot of that. Rayman or Legends is.
I don't know. I don't know which one's which.
Yeah, I think Origins was on the Wii, which is a fantastic game.
It was, yeah.
And Legends on the Switch, which is a fantastic game. I used to hate Rayman.
Is it the same as Origins, like the 2D one?
It's the same sort of concept with different game altogether. So
right.
The quirkiness, the graphics, the music. They got the Insane Trilogy, the Crash Bandicoot game, which came.
Yeah, it don't play right. That don't, you know.
I don't remember it being as frustrating as you remember it.
The controls don't feel right to me when I'm playing that.
Yeah, I get that with some of the jumping on it, and
yeah.
I feel a bit sort of I'm taking a risk every time I make a jump, especially on the side on the 2D levels.
Mm.
I feel it's a bit off.
Yeah, it don't feel like the original PlayStation version at all.
But I'm doing rather well. It's accumulated loads of extra lives. It's really good, and then all of a sudden I hit a section and lose like half of them. I'm thinking there's something wrong here. Is it me or is it the game? I don't know.
It's the game.
Which I'm pleased to hear. Splatoon 2, which I didn't get into to start with, and I played Splatoon on the Wii U, and I thought that was really good. I'm going to go back and play Splatoon 2. I've got Super Mario Maker 2 as well.
Yeah, they look really good. I just think that's a time sink, that one is. I don't know if I could be asked for that.
Yeah, I quite like it. It's a decent mix of sort of old and Mario, and that was quite good. So I've got about 6 or 7 games for it. Again, because I like the Wii U, I like this. I like the fact I can sit there with the hand unit and players watching the television, I can sit there and play on the games, or we can both play on it at the same time. And I like it, but it's wasted on me, Pete. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, technology-wise, it's phenomenal. The fact that they've actually managed to do that. But the game, as I say, like Nintendo Arcade Addicts and several others, and they're picking up all these games constantly, and like Champion 2D Rob, and it's like all this limited run stuff, and there's this retro-inspired game and that retro-inspired game, and I'm like, and it's going to cost you like 500 quid because it's on eBay. So it's like, I thought, no, don't even bother.
No, I don't even look at the Wii games when I go into shops now, because I know that, first of all, the price can be stupid. Secondly, I probably won't find anything I want anyway. Certainly if I did buy something, buy it anyway, so I've got to stop doing that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, to be honest, at the moment, I've gotten to a point now in my life where I don't want loads of consoles and all, so I'm just sort of limiting the machines I've got, because it got to a point where I was just like, I've got too many machines in the house.
Yeah, I think we all come across that as collectors, and I've, like I said, I bought the Wii U and the 360. Those were the last two consoles that I really wanted. One of the consoles I would have liked to have would have been a PC Engine, but I thought, well,
great system, yeah.
Never going to get one of those, so I got the Mini, which is great because it satisfies my need, and playing games on there from it and a load of stuff I never heard of before. So I'm happy with that.
And there you go. That's full circle again with the Mini. Absolutely, as I said earlier, they do have their place ready, don't they? They can fill that spot.
That's it. Like so all the stuff I bought, I probably didn't need to buy, but that one was like, and I got it. Didn't get it when it first came out. So I got it on the second batch.
Right.
When the second batch came out on Amazon, it was 20 quid cheaper than the first lot.
Oh, that worked out then.
So I got it for $79.90 something or other, which was 20 quid less.
Yeah.
And I think the third batch which came in was about 85 quid, so I've got it at the cheapest lot so far. And when that second batch came in, it sold out literally within 12 hours.
Yeah. Wow. It's a lot easier than obviously importing a Japanese one, having it RGB modded, buying shitloads of Hue cards.
Yeah, and like I said, the prices on that sort of stuff is astronomical.
And import tax and all that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down that road. Let's then move to the last two games of this, because after your six favourite games, we've been asking you to pick a game which you need to put a bit more time into, or a game perhaps you didn't get on with or you didn't appreciate first time round.
Yeah. And
also a game that you don't particularly like. Let's do the game that you need to spend a bit more time with, or whatever the reason is for that game being on this list.
And it also surprise people as well.
And it's another Super Nintendo game, so it'll be the fourth one we've had tonight, but that's a machine you have a big passion for. So what game are we talking about?
Well, as I say, this is going to surprise most people listening to this who know me, because there's no way they'd think I'd pick this, but it is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Right.
I know. Definitely not a game I'd normally play. The reason being is because I've never understood how the hell you play RPGs. And people go, oh, it's not an RPG, it's an action RPG or whatever. I'm like, okay. But I never understood Zelda either, because I don't... Like, a lot of Americans love that thing where you have to go around looking for stuff and you just spend hours just walking around in bloody circles finding things.
It's what I call shopping.
Yeah. It's what I call turn this off and play something where I can shoot someone in the face. But it's like, I found a few months ago, because I've got my Wii hacked, so I've got all the SNES ROMs on there. And one day I just sat down and I thought, I'm going to force myself to play Zelda and see if I can figure out what you're supposed to do. And I can't remember, it's been a while now, but I think at the beginning the bloke tells you what you got to find something or other. And so I went round, I was just hacking all the plants. And eventually I found, I think it was a key or what it was you find, I can't remember now. But you find something anyway, and literally get into the first dungeon. I was so chuffed that I actually found out what to do and made progress for the first time ever. And if I was on a desert island, it'd be perfect, because it's such a huge game that I could just sit there and just really take my time and just chip away at it and try and figure out how to get through it. If I could complete one, I'd be so chuffed, because the only Zelda game I've ever actually put time into and got anywhere, I can't remember what it's called now. It's on the Switch now, but it was on the Game Boy originally, and that's when I played it. Yeah, I can't remember what that one was called.
See, I think your reason for this is absolutely brilliant, because you said if your time to sit down and actually put something you probably wouldn't have played before.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and when we first did this concept on our podcast, I actually picked. I slugged it off right at the very start of Street Fighter 2.
Right.
For the same reason you would say that, I would say, well, I could actually sit down, learn how to do all the special moves.
Yeah, trying to
I'd have
force
time.
yourself to do it. Yeah.
I'd have time to sit down and do it. So, from my point of view, it's very sort of similar parallel lines to your choice of game there.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And they are the absolute. You know, I mean, I suppose really, if I was on that same point of view, I'd probably be sticking in Zelda Breath of the Wild, because that's the sort of game you could play and put time into and explore and go around and do all that.
It's working it out is the problem I have with these games. Like any RPG of any type of RPG, I just find the amount of time you have to put into it is a nightmare anyway. But it's not. They don't tell you anything. It's sort of like Zelda. It'll say like, Blink, go and find a whistle or something, and then you just wander around for the next 20 hours trying to figure out what this bloody whistle is. You know, it's like most games. You just, you can go from A to B. It's pretty linear. You know what you're doing, and you feel like you're getting progression. But with these games,
I had that with Ocarina of Time on the N64 when I first played that, because I was looking to get an N64 bundle with that game. And in fact, at some point in my life, I've owned 3 copies of Ocarina of Time, and all loose, and I've traded them all in apart from one. And I guess I must play this because people say it's a fantastic game. And it's nice cinematic start to it. That's not bad, good start. And then there's lots of running around. And I'm thinking, I'm really getting bored with this after about 20 minutes. I'll turn it off. That was about 9 years ago.
Yeah, it's so true.
I haven't been back to it since.
Yeah, it's just that it's got to catch my imagination immediately. I can't just be searching around. I listen to like a lot of the Americans, and they seem to enjoy all this grinding and powering up and all this, and it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
But then again, it goes, you sort of sit down and play something. I'll just do this for 10 minutes, and you're playing like for 3 hours later. You're still there thinking, actually, this is.
Yeah, I think it's just.
That's what should grab you. You need to be sort of. Does this grab me within the first 10 minutes? If you're sitting there 3 hours later still playing it, then yes, it has done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're on an island as well, you've got to force yourself. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many coconuts you can eat, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a good choice. I think the choice there. I expect a lot of people would pick these sort of games anyway, but I think your reason for that is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I wanted to put some thought into that one because I thought it's important that you pick a game that actually, if you're going to put some time into it, you want something that's going to last you for a long time, and you're also going to get a hell of a lot of pleasure out of it once you've worked it all out.
I'm glad somebody's given it as much thought as you have. That is really good. That is really good. I should be keeping a list of what everybody else has picked on these. I'd like to see what their reasons were. I'll have to do that at some point. Or as a spreadsheet. And so we don't like to finish on a bad note, but technically it is, because we always finish with this one, which is the game, which for some reason has managed to find its way into your box of stuff you've been stuck with, and you're not sure quite how it's got there. But at some point you're going to have to play it because it's there. I don't care how much time you put into Zelda. You're still at some point going to have to play this game. So what is it?
It's Darkness 2.
Yeah, it's on a particular system, or?
Well, I played it on PS3, I think, at the time. So either one, PS3 or 360.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. It's still crap.
but it must have been, the first one must have been good because they made a sequel to it.
The first one was a phenomenal game. I've got a video on my channel from when I played both of them for the first time. I hadn't played Darkness when it came out. There's a guy who used to be on YouTube called Sean Sidious, and he was doing a gameplay of it. And I started watching him playing Darkness, and I thought, actually, that don't look that bad, because I played the demo, I think, in the past, and I hated it. And then watching him play it, I thought, I'll give it another try. And the Darkness is phenomenal. It's got a really dark story, but it's really well told. It's got a great character in it. And the gameplay is really cool. It's a really cool first-person shooter, and it's like a mob scene thing, and all. It just drew me in completely. But the second game, they went, we'll just throw all that out the window, and we'll just make a generic Call of Duty clone, and it was absolutely atrocious.
Is this the guy with the hands?
Yeah, that's it. He's got the Darkness is like a monster that's inside him, and it comes out and he can snatch people up and choke them and kill them and things.
So I remember playing a demo for the PlayStation 3 when the first one came out, and Didn't really appeal to me.
Exactly what happened to me.
Ah.
Yeah, and it could be just that the demo was shit because there's a game called The Bourne Conspiracy where the demo they put out was one part of the game. Have you ever seen Bourne Identity, the first one?
Yes.
You know when he's in the embassy and he's trying to escape? I don't know if you remember that bit. It's when I think it's when he goes to get the passport or something and they attack him in the embassy and he beats him up.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that bit. Yeah.
So in the demo they put out was you trying to escape the embassy, and it's all quick time moments. So he's just like it's like a cinematic, and you just pressing X and triangle. And I thought the demo was terrible. And then the guy who used to be on YouTube called Nemesis, he did a gameplay of the actual game years later, and I watched him play the game. And the game was like a third-person action shooting, and I was like, this is nothing at all what the demo wasn't. So I went straight out that day and picked it up, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, so, I've got the Bourne Conspiracy one. Yeah,
it's a really good game.
Yeah, it is a good game. I think it's dirt cheap to pick up, and I think people are sort of they've played the demo and thought it's a load of rubbish. So
and that's exactly it. And same with the darkness, it could be the demo was just terrible, and that's what put me off. But the actual game is really good.
Yeah, it definitely put me off. That's for sure. I think every time I've seen it, I thought, I don't want to pick. Even if it's even at 50p, I ain't picking that.
It can be a little clunky when you play it. I remember this was a few years ago now when I played it, and it was a little frustrating in places. But the storyline is so good, and the main character is so well fleshed out. It just keeps dragging you in, and it's just really fun when you use the darkness and you start snatching people up, and it's great. But the sequel, I say, it's just a really beautiful looking generic Call of Duty game. You just run around just murdering people. I was like, this is not what the darkness is. The story was terrible as well. It was just a mess. But the reason I picked it for the list was because I thought if I'm going to have a shit game, I want one that at least, because it's a Call of Duty clone, I could at least play it and not get too pissed off with it.
Again, I like the choosing for it. I suppose really, it's a good reason, and was it generally sort of slugged off?
I don't know, to be honest, what the reviews were like at the time. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm just wondering whether it's a general acceptance that it was a crap sequel, because it's always there's always a morbid curiosity when you have a good game that came out originally. That a sequel comes out and it's completely wrong and it's terrible and all that. I'm always interested to find out if you have one really successful game and then bring out a really crap sequel to it and that's it. It kills it stone dead.
I mean, that might look at it. You'll probably finally got good reviews. But it's usually it goes.
Get Game of the Year edition.
It's usually the case. If I hate it, everyone loves it, and the opposite as well.
But that is the great thing, and I always say this about games. You might say I might say a game is bad, but the game may not necessarily be bad.
It's just
like your personal preference. And I always, people tell me, that's a bad game or a terrible game. Yeah, okay. Let me play it for myself. And if I play it for half an hour and find out it's not particularly fun in the slightest, then I agree with you. But if I get some enjoyment out of it, I was just reading magazines, and I was always sort of attracted for some reason to games that sort of got like scores of like 60 to 80% because I like the look of the game. I sort of read the review and I thought, well, I'm not getting a good review from that, but I'd still go and buy it. Even though I knew going in beforehand it was meant to not be a great game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You do have to just take a punt sometimes because you never know. Some games, they just don't connect with people. And, I mean, like you said earlier about Enslaved, I really liked that game until near the end and the camera just got on my nerves and I couldn't finish the game. So, it depends. I mean, it's a good game. It's just the camera's terrible.
But you find that, and people say that they say that something about. I think one of the game with the best opening sequences I've seen was Epic Mickey on Wii.
I've got it, and I can't really remember much about it, to be honest with you.
It's got a really good cinematic beginning to it, but the game itself ruined by a crap camera.
Yeah, so it spoils games big time with 3D games. That does.
Yeah, so what should be probably a 9 out of 10 game. Probably gets knocked down to a 7.5 or 7 out of 10 because of the wonky camera on it.
And it really does totally break a game now if you've got a bad camera on it.
Yeah,
it's just so frustrating.
Constantly sort of repositioning the camera all the time, and but that's how it is. And so we have come to the end of our journey.
I know, amazing.
It's been brilliant. That has flown by. That really has.
It really has, hasn't it? Yeah.
And you probably could have done a bit more depth in some of the stuff as well. Really, to be honest with you, but no, I've really enjoyed that, and I hope everybody listening to it has as well. It's I always think these things are really important to give people an insight to the person behind the channel, or you're doing what you do on your YouTube channel, but as a game, in general as well, what your interests are, and hopefully this gives people a bit more of an insight to how you've got here, what systems you play, what games influenced you, what your favourite games on what systems, and obviously we've had a bit of a laugh and a joke along the way about certain things as well, which have been brilliant, and
a nice Bond sideline as well.
We've always had tangents. Me and James in the last episode went on a wrestling tangent for about 20
minutes. Yeah.
So it's very easy to slip into these sort of things. Relevant because we were talking about James Bond in games.
Well, I could talk about James Bond games all day long. So.
Well, like I said, that could be me and you having a conversation about that another time, and just recording one episode of something completely different for that. But I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks for you to getting in contact about coming on doing this, Pete. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has been.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Ross. I really appreciate it.
No, and thank you for supporting. I hope that people will listen to this and enjoy it as much as we have as well. And obviously, I wish you all the best with your channel, carrying on forward, and looking forward to seeing some more content from yourself as it goes up. And if you haven't been across to Pete's channel before, you've just been listening to this and interested in where he goes, I will put a link to his channel in the description below. Pop across there and out. And if you do like what you've seen there, don't forget to comment on his videos, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you enjoy that. Likewise, if you have enjoyed this episode of Desert Island Games, thank you very much indeed for listening to it. If you have enjoyed that, don't forget to check out the other content on my channel, and if you do again like those, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tick that notification bell. It'll tell you when more videos are going up. Once again, Pete, thank you very much indeed for your time doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do something again very soon.
Hopefully, yeah. I'll up for that, definitely. So, thank you very much, Ross.
No problem at all, my friend. Thanks very much indeed for your time. All that remains to be saying is thank you very much indeed for listening, wherever you are, wherever you be. Please do stay safe out there. And this is the Retro Bear saying I will speak to you again very, very soon in one form or another. But until then, do take care. Bye for now.